Getting a six-pack is surprisingly easy, but here's the thing. I'm not going to give you the same boring information on how you should move more and eat less, because that's not what you need. What you need is to build a system that lets you enjoy the benefits of being in shape without the constant sacrifice of maintaining it. Because I'm guessing you probably don't want to entirely give up going out for takeouts or the occasional junk food. Nobody does, and you don't have to. So in today's video, I'll share my stack framework and give you the exact steps you need to follow to build a life that enjoys the best of both worlds. But before diving right into the framework, you first need to understand what exactly a system is. In its simplest form, it's a set of simple habits that work together to achieve a goal. And you know what's really cool? You already have multiple systems set up in your life, like the system you run to keep your teeth clean. I'm gonna wager you brush your teeth in the exact same spot at pretty much the exact same time every night. Or how about when you drive to work? Your morning probably looks exactly the same. You drive the same route, you pick up the same morning coffee. Those are systems, a set of actions that are most efficient in achieving the outcome you want. So when it comes to building a system that'll get you in shape, we need to start with setting a clear goal. Now most, if not all people, actually get goal setting wrong, and it's especially hard when setting goals for weight loss. Let me explain why. Most people will set a weight loss goal like lose 20 pounds in the next 2 months. But the problem here is how. Because losing weight is the process of hundreds of little actions bundled together. If we double click into losing weight, you've got exercise, diet, and sleep. And then if we click into one of those subcategories, you've got walking, cycling, lifting weights, and that goes even further down into these tiny micro actions like putting your shoes on, planning your walking route. So when you set a goal of losing 20 pounds in 2 months, you're now bombarded with hundreds of micro actions you've got to account for. That's why if you've tried losing weight in the past, it might have seemed overwhelming. Look at all the shit you've got to worry about. So how would I recommend you set a goal? Well, the first thing we need to do when setting a goal is identify the problem. I'm going to assume you probably want to be fitter, stronger, better looking, all that good stuff. But this isn't the goal, it's the desired outcome. So we've got you and we've got our desired outcome. And in between those two is a number of problems we need to solve. Our goals should be centered around solving these problems. Do you eat too much junk food? Not exercise enough? Bad sleeping habits? A combination of all three? Look at your life and the habits you already do, and it won't take long until you find the exact problems you need to solve. Another good way of finding some problems is look at the data around your life. We spend our money and our minutes on the type of person we believe we are. Just go and have a look at your bank balance and see how much you're spending on things that are keeping you out of shape. Streaming services, takeouts, OnlyFans, maybe? Imagine what a bank balance of someone who is in shape looks like. It would be gym memberships and supplements. What about your screen time? How long are you spending on your phone a day? Is majority of that time late at night when you should be sleeping? Now that you've pulled your life apart and found the deep-rooted problems, we can start to set goals accordingly. So ask yourself, what problem should I solve first? Let's say it's eat less junk food. We can now move to step 2 of goal setting, assign an action. What action would need to take place for you to achieve your goal of eating less takeouts? It could be meal prepping on the weekends, bringing some lunch to work, or simply taking a different route home so you don't drive past the McDonald's. Think of an action you could do that might solve your problem. And with the goal in mind and the action in place, we can now move to tying our actions to triggers. Remember the toothbrushing system I mentioned at the start of this video? That's our ticket to building the habits that are going to get us that sweet six-pack and keep it. But how? We're going to use something called habit stacking. And yes, that's taken right from James Clear's Atomic Habits. The fact that you brush your teeth every night is proof that you are capable of staying consistent with actions you think are beneficial. So instead of trying to build entire new habits from scratch, let's just tie our desired actions into habits we're already doing and shortcut the hard work. And there's science to back this up. Our brains build neural pathways between repeated actions to conserve energy over time. Imagine if you had to consciously remember to brush your teeth every morning and night. It would be a waste of brain power. Instead, the brain will simply create a connection between brushing your teeth and going to bed. So whether it's conscious or not, the moment you start getting ready for bed, your brain's gonna flick that neural pathway and trigger you to go and brush your teeth. So let's say your goal is to eat no junk food for the next 2 weeks. and you think the action that's going to help you achieve this goal is to prepare lunch for work the night before. So let's have a look at what you already do after work and see if we can tie this new action into an existing habit. For example, you might get home at 5:30 and routinely have a shower. That's a habit that already has a strong neural bridge. So all we need to do is tie our new action in line with the existing habit by using a before X, I'll do Y statement. Before having a shower after work, I'll prepare 2 sandwiches and put them in the fridge. Easy as that. Now this is essentially your bread and butter for building a sustainable fitness system. You look at the problems that are stopping you from getting to your desired outcome and decide what actions might be best to solve that problem. And then you tie that action into a habit you already do and then keep tracking and adjusting your goals and actions until you find something that works. But we are still missing A and C, which are 2 extremely important principles you need to understand if you want to build something that benefits the rest of your life. And A stands for act in small steps. Like I said before, there are so many micro actions in losing weight, but not all actions are equal. And you can get the exact same result doing an action that takes 5 minutes compared to an action that takes 30 minutes. Let me explain using the junk food issue. So the goal is to cut back on junk food. Now if we put that under the telescope, we can see that there's so many different possible solutions. In the last example, we used meal prepping as a possible solution, but I also mentioned you could just drive home a different way and avoid the McDonald's altogether. Now the meal prepping might take half an hour to do every evening and cost you an extra $20 per grocery shop. Compare that to driving home a different route, which might only add an extra 5 minutes to your home commute, which gives us 2 solutions with the exact same result but vastly different costs. And that's what I mean by not all actions are created equally. One takes 5 minutes and costs nothing, the other takes potentially hours and costs an extra 20 bucks. Now this becomes even more obvious when we look at people who want to lose some weight and decide to dive right into an intense workout program. They end up adding 10 to 15 different actions into their life when all they needed to do was change their Coke to a Diet Coke and do a 15-minute walk in the morning and they would have hit their goal. Now you might think, but doing the intense workout program would help me hit my goal quicker, right? And while yes, that is true, it also increases the risk of potentially falling off and doing none of the actions, which ultimately means at the end of the day, just sticking to those 2 smaller actions would have helped them get to their desired outcome quicker, which leads perfectly into consistency over perfection. The biggest problem with getting a six-pack isn't actually getting the six-pack, it's keeping it. Just look at the world's biggest loser competition. Out of the 18 people that lost the weight, only 1 person managed to keep it off. Consistency is the key, but most people don't even understand what being consistent even means. People like to look at it like it's going to the gym every day and sticking to a meal plan for the rest of your life. And while yes, that's technically part of it, it's only a small fraction of a larger whole, which is the relationship you have with yourself. One of the biggest lessons I've learned over the 7 years of fitness experience I've had is the importance of setting and fulfilling promises to yourself. Someone who's inconsistent simply doesn't consistently follow through with his word. It's as simple as that. And if you want to be a more consistent person, then you need to start following through on the things you said you were going to do. And that means sometimes it's not going to be perfect, and you shouldn't expect it to be. Sometimes all you've got to do is just put your shoes on, get outside so you can say, okay, I got outside and I ticked the box. And although it might not have been perfectly executed or the best workout, it was still consistent with the promise you made with yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. Which takes us onto our last piece of the puzzle, keep tracking and adjusting. The whole point of building this system is to figure out the easiest, most sustainable way you can get in shape without having to sacrifice your entire life for it. And that means you have to go through trial and error. I've been through hundreds of different diet variations and exercise variations to find the stuff that I truly enjoy. I talked to a guy from my gym who went through vegetarian, carnivore, keto diet before finally landing on meat and fruit that ended up changing his life. You have to be consistently aware of what's working and what's not. You will have a preference, you just need to find it. And that can only be achieved by setting small goals, tying new actions into old habits, acting in small steps, consistently keeping promises with yourself, and keep tracking and adjusting until you find the best solution for you. If you like this video and you're feeling motivated to make a start, I've got a dieting and exercise video right here that'll be perfect for you. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Cheers, gents.